They thought killing 5 human women generals would break Earth. Instead, it awakened the legends we swore we'd never unleash again. The galaxy expected silence, but humanity answered with something far colder than war. If you believe humans endure, fight, and rise stronger, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and witness what happens when our species decides it has lost enough. Humanity had always carried its grief quietly, until the day 5 human women generals were executed on a galaxy-wide broadcast. The feed cut through every colony, ship, and outpost across human space. It showed them bound, bruised, and unbroken, standing defiantly before the firing lines of the alien coalition. No last words, no mercy, just a flash of plasma, 5 silhouettes collapsing, and the cold proclamation that Earth would now submit or be destroyed. The galaxy expected humanity to break. Instead, Earth went silent, a silence so deep, so absolute, that the oldest species felt their instincts sharpen in fear. Because humanity did not howl when wounded, they calculated. And on that day, they began calculating the cost of vengeance. The broadcast spread everywhere. Billions watched as the 5 generals fell. These weren't ordinary commanders. They were legends in their own right, each one a pillar of humanity's survival. The strategist who outmaneuvered 3 alien empires on her first command. The peacekeeper who prevented a catastrophic interspecies war with nothing but her voice and her unwavering resolve. The engineer general who built the orbital shield system that saved Earth from extinction-level bombardment. The frontline general who led charges even when wounded, whose soldiers said she fought like she could not die. And the intelligence commander whose mind had exposed conspiracies that toppled tyrants. Together, they represented the finest of humanity, its discipline, its compassion, its strength, its unyielding refusal to bow. And the galaxy killed them like criminals. What shocked the galaxy even more was not the execution itself, but humanity's reaction. There were no riots, no screams, no explosions of fury, just a planet, and then an empire going completely still. Military bases dimmed their lights. Colonies paused their communications. Even the great orbital stations rotated silently, ignoring all foreign calls. It was a silence that felt like the breath before the storm, the inhale before the unleashing of something ancient. Aliens who knew humanity's history whispered among themselves, remembering the last time Earth went silent. It had ended with 3 empires collapsing in a single month. Inside Earth's high command, the atmosphere was colder than the void. Top officials gathered in a chamber buried beneath kilometers of rock. The hologram of the broadcast hovered above the table, frozen on the final frame of the 5 generals falling. Nobody spoke until the head marshal finally asked the question everyone feared. Are we ready to accept this? The answer was a unanimous, chilling no. Humanity would not accept dishonor. Not after watching 5 of their greatest leaders murdered for the galaxy's amusement. Not after their pleas for negotiation were mocked. Not after being told humanity was too dangerous to be allowed equal rights. The coalition wanted submission. They would get something else entirely. The marshal gave one order. 3 words that changed the fate of the galaxy. Unseal the vault. Every officer froze. Every sensor officer, every fleet commander, every intelligence chief felt their heartbeat hitch at those words. The vault was not a place, it was a warning. A facility older than the Alliance itself, built when humanity first realized the galaxy might fear them enough to attempt extermination. It held no missiles, no alien tech, no ancient weapons. What it held was far more dangerous. Humans trained beyond the threshold most species considered survivable. The Mythborn. The legends whispered about even by human soldiers. The unstoppable elite created only for moments like this. Moments when humanity faced annihilation not through battle, but through humiliation intended to break their spirit. Across the galaxy, as Earth's silence deepened, fear spread like wildfire. Alien analysts watched humanity's comms blackout with dread. Coalition spies reported that Earth had canceled all diplomatic channels without explanation. The species who ordered the executions panicked first, realizing too late that their cruelty had awakened something they couldn't comprehend. The more ancient races simply lowered their heads and whispered old warnings to their young. They knew humanity's history better than the arrogant coalition lords did. They'd seen how humans fought when cornered, not with madness, but with terrifying precision. Inside the Himalayas, a facility that officially did not exist began to hum. For thousands of years, it had remained sealed under ice and stone. Now its locks disengaged one by one, each thundering echo signaling the awakening of a different kind of warrior. Humanity wasn't mobilizing its armies, not yet. Mobilizing armies was for wars. This was not war. This was justice. And justice required something more precise, more focused, more ruthless than even Earth's most advanced fleets. It required the return of the Mythborn. But before the vault opened completely, humanity needed to grieve their lost leaders. Cities held silent vigils, not with tears, but with lamps lit in windows facing the night sky. Fleets powered down in unity. Children placed flowers beneath hollow statues of the generals. Everywhere, their names were whispered like vows. They had given everything to protect humanity, and the galaxy had repaid them with execution. No human would allow that debt to go unpaid. Then came the message that shook the galaxy. Earth broadcast a single sentence to every species. No threats, no demands. Just a promise spoken in a calm, unwavering voice. Those responsible will answer to us. The coalition tried to dismiss it as bravado, but no one else believed that. They remembered the old stories. They remembered that humans never made empty threats. They remembered that when humanity vowed justice, justice arrived. The vault's final seal cracked open, spilling cold mist into the chamber. Inside stood silhouettes, tall, silent, breathing slowly as they woke from stasis. They had been put to sleep only after Earth's last extinction threat had passed. And now, for the first time in centuries, the world needed them again. They had no doubt why they were awakened. They had felt the tremors of grief, even in stasis. The moment the first Mythborn opened their eyes, the entire galaxy felt the shift. Something ancient had returned. Something humanity itself feared, but trusted when pushed too far. And as the legends stepped forward, Earth whispered the vow that would shake every planet, every empire, every species watching from a safe distance. For our fallen generals, the galaxy will learn why you never strike humanity first. The Mythborn moved with a precision and calm that no living species could have anticipated. They were the pinnacle of human endurance, crafted in isolation on death worlds designed to break the body and temper the mind. Each of them had been forged in environments where survival meant bending reality to your will. Some had trained in gravitational fields twice that of Earth, running sprints that made ordinary humans collapse. Others had spent years navigating jungles alive with predators, learning to fight with both hands, feet, and mind simultaneously. Neural conditioning, combat drills, and tactical simulations had honed them into a single purpose: to protect humanity when nothing else could. And now, the galaxy would bear witness to the culmination of those decades of hidden preparation. The vault that had housed them was not merely a prison of stasis. It was a command hub and training complex integrated into Earth's deepest mountain ranges. Each chamber had maintained the Mythborn in peak condition, their muscles subtly exercised, their minds continuously fed simulations of alien threats. They awoke not in confusion, not in hesitation, but with the clarity of beings who had known the exact moment they would be required. One by one, they rose from their stasis pods, clad in armor designed for survival in environments no starship could traverse. Their eyes, calm and unflinching, scanned the human high command room, absorbing information, registering every potential threat, and aligning instinctively with Earth's singular objective: vengeance for the fallen generals. The unsealing of the vault sent tremors of fear across Earth's colonies and deep space stations. Commanders reported the presence of the Mythborn in corridors of whispering awe. Fleet captains who had survived centuries of combat felt a tension in their spines they could not explain. These were humans who had never failed, humans who had never retreated, and humans who now carried the mandate of absolute retribution. No technology could match them. No strategy could anticipate their actions. And yet, they were under humanity's strict command, restrained only by purpose and loyalty, not by any desire for wanton destruction. Individual profiles of the Mythborn revealed their terrifying efficiency. The silent vanguard moved in ways undetectable by sensors, capable of infiltrating enemy installations without leaving trace or sound. Her presence in a warship could paralyze entire command chains before the first alarm sounded. The Void Walker was trained to navigate space undetected, able to sabotage entire fleets with a mere thought, appearing as a phantom wherever the humans needed influence. The Iron Matriarch bore decades of combat experience and led ground forces with unwavering discipline, inspiring confidence and fear simultaneously. The twin sons acted as a single mind in battle, their coordination so precise that their enemies mistook them for a single entity capable of predicting their every move. The Harbinger, the most extreme of the Mythborn, had only been deployed twice in history, leaving alien systems permanently altered, their societies destabilized for decades. Now, all were awake, all were ready, all were bound by one directive: avenge the 5 executed generals. Earth's mobilization was unprecedented. Fleets long thought decommissioned were brought online. Orbital defenses hummed with a renewed intensity, weapons systems calibrated to perfection, waiting for the signal. Cities converted industrial complexes into manufacturing hubs overnight, producing supplies, drones, and ammunition for the impending conflict. Every human, civilian and military alike, knew the purpose of their labor. Unlike previous wars where victories were sought, this was preparation for justice, for the full, methodical application of human discipline against those who had committed a moral atrocity. Each measure was precise, calculated, and designed to achieve the maximum psychological impact on alien observers without unnecessary loss of life. Alien monitors recorded the activity with growing alarm. Sensors detected no aggressive signals, no preparatory hails, only movement, coordination, and precision. The Mythborn's arrival in each strategic location caused immediate disruption to enemy plans without a single shot fired. Alien commanders began to whisper among themselves, realizing too late that humanity had not responded with anger, but with strategy perfected over centuries. They had awakened forces they did not understand, controlled by a species they had believed weak, divided, and predictable. The Mythborn were deployed in calculated pairs and squads, moving through space stations, fleet command ships, and communication hubs. Their mere presence disrupted the operational tempo of the aliens. Systems that had been considered secure were now compromised before anyone could react. Intelligence databases were emptied, command hierarchies collapsed, and alien soldiers were left paralyzed by uncertainty and fear. Humans who had trained under ordinary circumstances marveled at their Mythborn counterparts. This was not arrogance. It was the culmination of humanity's greatest strengths applied without hesitation. The Mythborn embodied discipline, unity, and focused fury. They represented the full potential of a species pushed to the edge and refused to bow. By the time Earth's main fleets began their final positioning, the galaxy's perception of human capability had changed irreversibly. The Mythborn had demonstrated that victory did not require brute force alone. Their efficiency, precision, and resilience forced the coalition and its allies to confront a terrifying reality. Humans had power beyond comprehension, and that power could be unleashed with absolute discretion. No empire could prepare adequately. No fleet could anticipate the strategies executed by the Mythborn. The very concept of a human strike had transformed into something more than a tactical maneuver. It was an assertion of inevitability. The final moments before engagement were marked by quiet determination. The Mythborn stood ready, aligning with Earth's fleet commanders, synchronizing strategies without the need for verbal communication. Every human soldier, from a youngest recruit to the most senior admiral, understood their role within a larger design. It was not chaos. It was orchestration at a scale unmatched in galactic history. Across the stars, alien civilizations awaited the unfolding of human retribution, unaware that their failure to respect humanity's leadership and honor had triggered the awakening of legends that no species had been meant to face. And in that moment, the galaxy understood one immutable truth. When humans were united, disciplined, and driven by justice, nothing, not even the oldest, most cunning empires, could survive their calculated wrath. The Mythborn prepared for deployment with silent resolve. Earth's orders were clear, their mission singular. They did not move out of anger, nor did they act out of vengeance in the petty sense. Their actions were deliberate, precise, and unavoidable. Every calculation had been rehearsed. Every possibility had been simulated. Every move designed to ensure that humanity's response would be decisive. The galaxy would see, in the coming hours, that killing 5 human women generals was not a mere act of violence. It was the catalyst that summoned the full measure of human capability, the awakening of legends no alien could hope to withstand. The first strike of humanity's legends did not roar. It arrived silently, invisibly, and with absolute precision. Alien fleets in the outer systems registered nothing unusual at first. Then, one by one, their ships began failing. Engines shutting down mid-jump, command nodes going dark, sensors reporting phantom intruders that vanished before response teams could engage. The silent vanguard moved through the coalition's flagship, disabling entire weapon arrays without harming a single crew member. The aliens' panic spread through the ranks like wildfire, confusion compounding fear. Their communications went dead, and even the most experienced admirals struggled to maintain control as reality seemed to betray them. Humanity's retaliation was not chaos. It was an unrelenting assertion of control executed with calculated inevitability. The Void Walker infiltrated the coalition capital in less time than it took for planetary sensors to complete a scan. Within minutes, entire command systems were compromised, communication links severed, and intelligence databases emptied. Alien officers attempted to counteract the intrusion, only to discover that every safeguard had been anticipated and nullified. No alarms sounded, no shots were fired, yet the coalition's operational efficiency collapsed entirely. Their leaders awoke to find their strategies, data, and confidence erased simultaneously. Civilians and soldiers alike felt the first taste of human supremacy, not through aggression, but through flawless precision and psychological dominance. It was a lesson that would reverberate through every alien society for decades. Earth's fleets advanced in synchrony with the Mythborn's silent actions. Not a single human vessel fired upon the coalition's forces initially. Every movement was calculated to project dominance and enforce obedience, to demonstrate that resistance would be pointless. Alien commanders realized too late that the human strength was not merely in numbers or weapons, but in coordination, discipline, and the strategic application of skill that transcended conventional warfare. Entire squadrons surrendered without engagement, understanding instinctively that survival required compliance. Humans were not only stronger, they were untouchable in ways the aliens could neither comprehend nor counter. The Iron Matriarch led ground operations on key occupied planets. Her presence transformed the battlefield. Soldiers who had spent their lives fighting assumed the impossibility of defeat under her command. Entire garrisons capitulated as if anticipating inevitable defeat. Yet humanity displayed restraint, liberating prisoners and ensuring that collateral damage remained minimal. Every action reinforced the duality of human power, overwhelming strength tempered by deliberate mercy. Alien forces were forced to confront the uncomfortable reality that humans could strike without cruelty, yet no mercy could be expected if provoked further. Civilians who had anticipated terror found themselves freed, guided towards safety by soldiers who had become legends incarnate. The twin suns operated as one mind across multiple theaters, dismantling coordinated alien defenses and neutralizing key installations simultaneously. The precision with which they moved left aliens struggling to understand causality. Communications between fleets were intercepted, plans predicted before completion, and maneuvers countered before they began. Every failure compounded panic, while the humans executed strategy as if the galaxy were a chessboard in which every piece was already known and controlled. These were not battles of attrition. They were demonstrations of inevitability. Humanity's response was surgically accurate, leaving alien societies paralyzed by uncertainty and fear. As the Mythborn advanced, the Coalition's command structure disintegrated. Fleets drifted helplessly, planetary defenses shut down without explanation, and elite soldiers surrendered in disbelief. The aliens had assumed that by killing 5 human generals, they could provoke fear and submission. Instead, they had awakened the full breadth of human capability, a scale of force and intelligence they had been told existed only in stories and legends. Every measured strike by the Mythborn shattered assumptions and created a cascade of surrender and compliance. Humans had proven that retaliation need not be loud to be total. Earth's fleets gradually established controlled zones around key Coalition installations, imposing tactical dominance without direct engagement. The presence of the Mythborn ensured that any attempt to resist would result in instantaneous collapse. Alien officers realized they were powerless to fight a species that had turned grief into a weapon and strategy into inevitability. The galaxy observed in awe and fear, witnessing that humanity's response to atrocity was not emotional, not chaotic, but methodically unstoppable. Every alien commander understood, deep in instinct, that humanity had the capacity to eradicate entire fleets before an enemy could react. And yet, the humans had not yet taken a single life unnecessarily. The restraint was as terrifying as the power itself. Ground and orbital operations synchronized seamlessly. Human forces liberated occupied worlds in precise waves, restoring order while ensuring that Coalition personnel faced immediate accountability for atrocities. Civilians watched the Mythborn operate with efficiency unmatched by any prior military force in recorded history. Earth's fleets moved only where necessary, neutralizing threats without unnecessary destruction. The combined display of skill, strategy, and disciplined fury forced the galaxy to recalibrate its understanding of human potential. Humans were not the species to be bullied. They were a force of ultimate consequence, capable of exacting retribution without losing moral authority. The alien leaders convened under duress, desperate to understand how an ostensibly defeated species had achieved complete operational dominance within hours. Every transmission intercepted revealed confusion, fear, and growing despair. Attempts to regroup and retaliate failed repeatedly as Mythborn units anticipated each move, executing counters before plans could be finalized. By the time Coalition fleets attempted coordinated attacks, entire operational zones had been neutralized. Alien forces found themselves constrained not by weaponry, but by human foresight, discipline, and the Mythborn's unmatched skill. The galaxy realized that the execution of 5 human women generals had been a fatal miscalculation. By the end of the initial engagement, human forces had demonstrated absolute control over the theater. Not a single Mythborn casualty had occurred. Alien casualties were minimal relative to the psychological devastation inflicted. Entire fleets were stranded in orbit, unable to act, and planetary garrisons capitulated before human troops even landed. Humanity had transformed grief into action, outrage into strategy, and loss into a demonstration of supremacy that no species could ignore. The Mythborn had fulfilled their purpose, showing the galaxy that human strength was a combination of intellect, endurance, precision, and moral resolve. The stage was set for the final confrontation with the Coalition's leadership, whose downfall was now inevitable. The coalition's leaders waited in their Grand Council chamber, convinced that surrender was unnecessary, convinced that humans could be reasoned with after the execution of 5 of their finest generals. Their arrogance evaporated the moment the Mythborn entered. Silence fell over the room, thick and suffocating, as the legend's presence alone forced the leaders to comprehend the full scale of their miscalculation. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty, only the unwavering focus of beings who had been awakened for one purpose: to enforce justice with precision beyond imagination. Each leader felt their authority crumble, not from force, but from the unshakable certainty that humanity could and would enforce their will. Earth's conditions were delivered calmly, yet immutably. The coalition had a hand over those directly responsible for the executions. The anti-human alliance had to dissolve entirely. Reparations for the families of the executed generals were demanded, and a new treaty acknowledging humanity's sovereignty and protective capacity was required. The leaders understood that refusal was not an option. The Mythborn's reputation alone rendered resistance suicidal. Civilizations that had once underestimated human capability now found themselves bound by the force of reason and inevitability, a reality far more terrifying than any weapon. The Harbinger, the most feared of the Mythborn, advanced toward the central command seat. Its presence alone sent a chill through every alien species present. The myths, the stories whispered across the galaxy for centuries, were now reality incarnate. Every coalition leader felt the gravity of their crimes pressing down on them. The executions, meant to humiliate and destroy humanity's spirit, had instead triggered a reckoning no one alive could have anticipated. Their powerlessness was absolute. No fleet, no army, no intelligence apparatus could reverse what had already been set in motion. Humanity had transformed tragedy into absolute authority. Across the galaxy, the narrative of the 5 fallen generals shifted. They were no longer simply victims of cruelty. They became symbols of human resilience, strategy, and honor. Each name was etched into the collective consciousness of every sentient species. Their sacrifice had ignited the Mythborn, had mobilized Earth's forces to an unmatched degree, and had redefined the boundaries of what it meant to provoke humanity. Civilians, soldiers, and leaders alike now revered the generals as catalysts of a new galactic order, proof that the loss of 5 humans could mobilize a species to heights of coordination and discipline no alien civilization could imagine. Humanity did not exploit the victory for expansion. No territories were annexed. No empires were dismantled beyond what was necessary to neutralize the threat. Earth's forces restored order, ensured accountability, and withdrew where appropriate. The galaxy watched as humans demonstrated not only strength but restraint, showing that true power was not measured by conquest, but by the ability to enforce justice efficiently, decisively, and morally. Freed worlds celebrated the liberation of populations once under coalition control, while others quietly acknowledged humanity's rise as a deterrent to future oppression. The Mythborn returned to their stasis chambers once their task was complete. Their work was precise, effective, and deliberate. Humanity had delivered justice for the executed generals, established control over hostile forces, and demonstrated their unmatched capacity for both strategic brilliance and ethical conduct. The vault closed again, the legends sealed away until such a time as they might be required. Their existence now a permanent, silent reminder to the galaxy of what happens when humans are pushed beyond endurance. Earth commemorated the 5 generals with monuments visible from orbit, plaques recording their achievements and sacrifices in every major human colony. Their deeds became the foundation for a new era of interstellar diplomacy and military deterrence. Species that had once doubted human resolve now approached with caution, respect, and a newfound understanding that humanity's strength was inseparable from its moral compass. The Mythborn had returned the galaxy to equilibrium not through terror, but through the careful application of power, coupled with principled restraint. The final message broadcast from Earth was not one of aggression, but of warning. Humanity does not act without reason. Humanity does not seek war. But if you take what is ours, if you harm those who protect our people, humanity will respond with precision, inevitability, and unity beyond imagination. Across the stars, civilizations absorb the meaning. The execution of 5 generals had been intended to show weakness, but it had revealed the opposite. A species unified by grief, disciplined by survival, and capable of enforcing its will across the galaxy with unmatched efficiency. In the aftermath, alien societies understood an immutable truth. Humanity was not to be underestimated. They were a species that bore loss with purpose, transformed outrage into calculated action, and upheld justice with unerring precision. They had demonstrated that when humans were provoked, they did not merely retaliate. They enacted a scale of consequence that reshaped entire civilizations. The Mythborn had been the instrument, but humanity itself was the force. The galaxy now knew that killing human leaders, no matter how great or revered, was an act that could awaken power no alien could survive. Humanity had avenged its generals, liberated oppressed worlds, and restored balance without tipping into tyranny. The 5 women generals, though gone, had catalyzed the awakening of legends and cemented the galaxy's recognition of humanity's true strength. The Mythborn returned to slumber, Earth to peace, and the galaxy to a wary respect it had never known. One lesson echoed from every system. Humans are kind, disciplined, and measured. But if you cross them, the legends they awaken are unstoppable, and no alien empire will ever survive the reckoning. The story ended not in conquest, not in destruction, but in absolute affirmation. They had shot 5 human women generals, but in doing so, they unleashed legends that no alien could ever survive. Humanity had risen, united, and prevailed, not through brute force alone, but through calculated, inevitable, and principled mastery of war itself.